Good evening, everybody. I'm Luke. We're here from Ought to Know Better. We're joined tonight with with Carl, who looks like he's probably been on the wacky backy. With Smarty, aka Jimmy Neutron, and Jay's going to be joining us when he can find his booster seat for his chair. So yeah, plenty to get through tonight, lads. Let's get into it. Now then,
you forget who you were for a little while then.
I did, mate. I started talking and I thought, who the fuck am I? Oh, no. Not even a minute deep. We're not even a minute deep, mate.
30 seconds, Is that your bottle opener?
It is my bottle opener, yeah.
It's his bottle opener. It's his bottle opener. Yeah, no, I completely lost my train of thought there for a second. I was like, who the fuck am I and what am I doing here on a Tuesday evening? But yeah, we got there in the end. But yeah, first things first, it was nice to bump into you all. There was quite a lot of us. I think there's 7 or 8 of us all together from the pod or sort of from people who know the pod who managed to bump into each other at Ellen Road at the weekend. So I think obviously first things first, we all enjoyed a beer or two. Result not too great. I know you've already spoke about this, Carl, too, on Berardi and Cloak. Berardi and Cloak?
Who's been on what? Like,
I think you need a factory reset, you. What's going on?
I've lost my voice as well from singing on Sunday. I don't know if you can tell my voice is proper horse as fuck. But yeah, so obviously, Carl, whoever joined in for Berardi and Coke, the hijacked version of Berardi and Coke, I've just seen now you and Gilly managed to talk for an hour and 22 fucking minutes. I'm glad I went on that one.
There's a lot to talk about.
There was. In fairness, there was. Just give us for those who haven't had a chance to watch it back then. Just give us a bit of a breakdown of how you saw it, then, Carl, and then I'll come to Smite and myself who haven't had the opportunity to vent.
Well, look, they're going to be thereabouts at the end of the season, and I was kind of chatting to my mate in Australia saying, I reckon we get a draw out of this or whatever. So I was wrong. I didn't. I like the tackle was. If that's just another story altogether, we'll chat about that in a while. I just wasn't very impressed with how we've played so far this season. Like, I don't think it's been in any way what we were like last season. I'm not using. You can't use the crowd as a factor in that. We've been nothing but supportive. It's just they're not hitting gears at the moment, and it's difficult to see. Like, Newcastle's a big game now on Friday.
It is. But to put that in a little bit of perspective, Carl, we've played 3 of the current top 4 already this season. So when you look at it like that, we were lucky to rescue a draw against Burnley, and the football we're playing hasn't probably been, to the standard that we've got used to under Bielsa. So I can absolutely appreciate where you're coming from in terms of that. But I mean, when you, as I say, putting things in a little bit more of a perspective, the 3 of the teams that we've already played this season are in the top 4. So you can look at it. You can look at it sort of 2 ways. You can look at it as we've been poor, or we can look at it as the teams we're playing have probably spent a little bit more money, expecting to be quite high up there, and potentially we may have battered above our stations last season. A bit of hype behind the team. We didn't invest that much last season, and we put a good shift in the first season back in the Premier League. Now, if we were punched above our weight, I think that's where reality needs to set in somewhat. What do you think, Smarty?
Where do you even start with it? To be honest, I think a lot of people have looked too deep into it. We have played some good teams. Scum and Liverpool obviously being the main 2. Burnley, a tough place to go against. It's Turf Moor. I wouldn't necessarily call it a fortress, but it kind of is for them. And a very, very good on the rise Everton team. I'm just thinking that this game against Newcastle now is a real test to where we need to see where we are in the league. You know, they're not going to go down. They're going to be in the bottom sort of mid bottom half of the table probably. You know, there are worse teams than us in the league. But we do really need to kind of use it as a springboard. We've got a good couple of fixtures, maybe 4 or 5 fixtures that are winnable, very, very winnable. So we really, really need to establish ourselves this weekend against Newcastle, a quite poor Newcastle side, and really crack on, because we do need to start getting some points now.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. We do need to start picking up those points. But in terms of the Liverpool game, Smarty, what, other than their obvious golfing class man for man, and the obvious incident that we are going to speak about in a short while, so don't go into that too much. What else went wrong for you? Obviously, we were there. We were watching, so I don't know if you've managed to watch the full game back. I only watched the highlights on telly. I always find it a lot more difficult to give an honest perspective of the game when you've watched it from a seat rather than on telly, because you see so much more on the telly. But where did we go wrong?
I tend to disagree with that. I think you see much more of on a whole, much more of the wider spectrum of the match. It's personal opinions and all that sort of stuff. But you tend to, when you watch it on a TV, it's focused in on a certain part, a certain element of the game. Whereas obviously when you're in the stands, you see everything. You know, you can see Meslier scratching his ass whilst Battenford's trying to bang one in at top end. That sort of stuff. Not that we want to talk about Meslier scratching his ass, of course. But for me, I think on a whole,
whatever suits you, floats your boat.
Whatever floats your boat, whatever turns you
whatever
on.
you do. Oh look, I think Jay might.
Oh fucking hell! We've got a gremlin joined us. Look.
Cheers, mate.
All right, Jay. How's it going?
Better than the last time people may have seen me on one of our podcasts. So I just want to say sorry about that for anyone that had to endure that, including you guys.
So as soon as I knew you were on, I turned off.
All right, Jay, it's not a rehab session.
All right, it's a good job.
Hello, my name's Jay. I'm from Westfield.
Sorry, go.
Anyway, as I was saying, but no, I don't think it's necessarily one part of the team, or a singular part, or anyone that's necessarily at fault. I think on a whole, we weren't at the races on Sunday against a very, very good Liverpool side. They use class. We have class in certain parts. We have quite a few players that seem to be out of form. I don't really want to start naming names, but majority of the defence seems to be running out of form. I've seen Firpo getting attacked a fair bit on social media, generally across the board, saying that he would run ragged by Mo Salah. It's Mo Salah. He's one of the best players in the world. I don't think he was. I think it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, a lot of the comments. I think they're just looking for a scapegoat. Why have we just been pumped 3-0? You can't blame one person individually. A lot of people say, the Rodrigo thing is not working. I'm inclined to agree to a point. But on a whole, the whole team, we lack sharpness. I've said this a few times. We do not pass the ball around as well. Now, whether that's because we're playing in a much better league against much better competition, I don't know. But we do not seem to be passing the ball as well as we did in the Championship.
I'd agree.
It's not as fast. It's not as sharp or quick. I used to love watching us flinging ball around here, there, and everywhere. It just doesn't seem to happen at the minute.
No, that was always going to happen. When you're playing a better teams, they're a lot more intelligent and with how they focus their energy and their attention. If they're pressing you, they'll do it in a way such as that they're not using that much of their energy, and they'll do it as a unit. So if one of them presses, they'll all press. Whereas in a Championship, there's probably a yard or two difference. And I think you're quite right in what you say. It's almost like we're having to reinvent our own brand of football. Because what we are doing either isn't working or people are wise to it. And last year, I think we were a bit of a shock package, because everyone thought it's a Championship leagues that come up. We probably don't need to look into. I mean, that's probably unfair. what I mean is they're probably, because we were a bit of a surprise last season, maybe the coaches that are facing us, and they're maybe putting a little bit more effort into the style of play, maybe, and counteracting that. And Burnley was a great example of how to neutralise us really, really well. And I think Liverpool did it really well as well at the weekend, playing a completely different style to Burnley, but managed to neutralise what we were trying to do with that ball. And it's frustrating to watch it. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I agree. It's frustrating because, like, the thing that we've all grown to love is that movement and that sort of, I don't know, that enthusiasm and energy, yeah. And it just seems to be missing this season. I don't know why. I hope that we find it again soon. I can't say I wasn't mega disappointed with the performance against Liverpool. Like, and I'll be the first person to start moaning if it's bad. But I wasn't mega disappointed. Yeah, well,
you wouldn't moan.
I wasn't mega disappointed. I expected to get beat, to be honest.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I thought it was going to be worse, and it wasn't. I think we did all right.
We only conceded one when we went down to 10 men.
Yeah, exactly. That's a positive.
I think if Mane had have actually put his scoring boots on, we'd have been down considerably more than by 3 anyway.
But there's great defensive challenges towards the end, weren't there? Like when they were through 1-on-1 and stuff. But I think from a Leeds perspective and a Leeds fans perspective, and I know I can't speak on behalf of everybody here, but we should have gone into that game expecting to lose. Now, you always go in with a puncher's chance, don't you? And you've got that belief of being a Leeds fan that you're going to get a result against, But when you actually look at it, if you're a realist, we were always going to probably lose that game, weren't we? So I think we've got to take positives out of it. We can't be sat here thinking we've not played that well. I think we've got to start looking at, from a fan's perspective, I think we've got to start looking at, as I said to you, Smite, we've played 3 of the top 4 teams this season already. The current top 4 teams. So yeah, as you say, as you all rightly say, I think Newcastle is a real important game, and I expect us to put a good performance in there.
That's the game where I'll be worried if we don't do well.
Sorry, Carl, go on.
Like in the first 20 minutes of the game against Liverpool, like we had some good opportunities where we could have.
Rodrigo put that chance away.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but I tried saying that to one of my mates. He lives in Australia and he's a Liverpool fan. Like, and I was like, if we score them, it could be a totally different game. Like, I'm not saying, like I said to him, I was like, your finishing was more clinical than ours in the final third.
Yeah.
Like I used the Rodrigo.
In the final what?
Final third.
It was turd, you're right. It was turd.
But like I used the Rodrigo chance as an example as to how our finishing is a little stale at the moment. Where like I was saying it to one of the lads after the game, I was like, even as an amateur footballer, you get in a position like that where you've got the goal at your mercy, you pick a corner, you don't blast it. And these are the fine margins. We could have been 1-0 up before they even got into the game properly, so
I think you're right.
They're the fine margins that we have to kind of look at and go, right, okay, that's the end of the pitch we need to work on. Like,
absolutely, and because we're in a Premier League in our second season, we're going to get less chances, and we've got to be more clinical. I mean, Rodrigo's lacking a lot of confidence for me. I think there's a great player in there. You see some of his movements, some of his touches, fantastic. But he is lacking confidence, and he looks like a player that's lacking confidence as well. Bielsa's obviously got all the confidence in the world in him, but I think he's lacking that little bit in himself. And I think once he finds that, we'll have a different player in Rodrigo. But I'm still not sure of him at 10. And I know that was one of the poll questions, and I know that didn't win. But yeah, we'll see how we move on. But cool. We'll move on, shall we? Let's move on into
Auto No Better Predictions,
which is exactly what we'd be doing if Matt was here, but he's not. So I don't think he's giving anybody any of the results, but I'm pretty sure there was only 1 or 2 people who went for a Liverpool win, and I think one of them was Rex, and he went for a Liverpool 4-0 win. The absolute scum bastard. But no, they won 3-0, so he will have got some points somewhere along the lines. But we can't do the predictions for obvious reasons this week in terms of who finished where. Jay, are you all right to take the predictions down a little bit later for me?
Yeah, I can note them down,
when we do that. Is that all right, mate? Cheers.
So
we're going to the next part of the show, which Smart is going to look after.
Twitter poll results.
I love that we've got Stephen Hawking reading out his little thing.
I find it very important to me.
Each week we ask the listeners to choose the main subject for the pod, as you all know. So the first one, that red card, which was overwhelmingly the winner. But the other three, just to reel them off, the first four results, are we in trouble? A little one, Dan James' debut too early. And has the Rodrigo experiment come to an end? So that red card was the winner. Jay, would you like to take this one away, mate?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the fact that even Elliot himself said it wasn't a red card says it all for me. I mean, shit happens. It's one of those things you don't want to see happen to anybody, but there was no malice in that tackle. It wasn't even that strong a tackle. It was just the way he fell.
It was a fucking rate tackle. It was a fucking rate tackle.
But it was good. You know what I mean? It wasn't reckless. He knew what he was doing. He got the ball. He come away with it. Just unfortunate what happened. And I think that, as many people have said since, if he'd not injured the guy, he wouldn't have got sent off. I mean, a lot of pundits have even said, wouldn't have even been a yellow to them. But, it
wasn't even a foul, Jay. It was not even a yellow. It wasn't a foul.
That's what I mean.
Liam Cooper did the same thing on Manny. Exactly the same tackle. The same tackle. Manny went down. He obviously got some shit from crowd and stuff, but Liam Cooper retrieved the ball and play went on. Nothing happened. Yet Harvey Elliott gets injured. That's it. See you later. You've been given a red card. It's fucking bollocks.
That's it.
But anyway,
you shouldn't be getting sent off just because someone's got injured. You should be judged on what you've just done. Like, was it a foul or not? If it was a foul, was it a bad foul? It wasn't a foul. He got sent off just because the guy got injured, and that's the kind of inconsistency that people are always moaning about. Yet VAR looked at that and sent him off. Do you know what I mean?
No, they didn't. They didn't.
They did. Oh, okay.
VAR didn't get involved. Did not get involved.
No, they didn't get involved.
No, they didn't
get involved.
That's it.
They didn't.
No, listen, they did, but not at that stage. So I was tweeting Graham Smith earlier on this morning, and basically what happened was the red card was the red card was given, and then it was VAR checked as to whether or not that red card was an obvious error.
Right.
So I thought the VAR checked the challenge and decided that there was no.
They didn't do initially, not before the red card was issued, though.
No, after the red card to see whether.
At that point in time, VAR hadn't been utilised, and it was just fucking Klopp, the little fucking wanker.
I completely misunderstood how VAR had been used in the whole situation. I thought VAR had checked it and not given anything, and then he's gone and given the red card. That's not quite the case. Basically, what happened was he'd not given the foul. Klopp and everybody else has come on. Apparently, the fourth official has said he said to the fourth official he's broken his fucking leg or something. The fourth official has then gone to, was the referee Halsey?
Yeah. I don't remember.
I can't remember. Anyway, he said to the referee,
Scouts are in the black. That's what we were calling it.
Yeah, that's it. And then the fourth official said he recommended the red card. Then they've done a VAR check, which has then solidified, said that the referee's not made a clear and obvious error with giving the red card. Now, obviously, we've appealed it, and from a Leeds fan's perspective, I can't see how we're not going to win that appeal. But then again,
I can't.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because the chances of it being rescinded are probably quite high because of the severity of the injury, regardless of what we think and the fact that pundits around the world of it not being rescinded. Yeah. It's just everyone says that it's not a foul. It's not a foul. It certainly wasn't a red card. The fact that Klopp was allowed to march around the fucking pitch, chirping in every single referee's bloody ear or within earshot.
Shouldn't have been on the fucking pitch. He should be on the field.
It's what he wants.
Even when the red card were brandished, there were I'm not sure what Liverpool player were on the pitch at the same time. He were in his drill top or whatever they frigging call them nowadays, benched coat, and we went, oh come on, that's a bit, You just looked at the reactions from the players, and even their players, just like, oh come on, that's never seen a red card.
Yeah.
But
no, Ayling even went up to him and went, you didn't even blow for a foul. So how can you give a red card?
Exactly.
It's absolutely fucking mental.
I don't know if any of you saw the footage that's come out of the Liverpool player on the bench.
I love a bit of footage.
And he looks up at the card, the Liverpool lad on the bench. He looks up at the card and goes, "Oh, no way."
Smarty.
That's the one I'm on about. That's what I'm on about.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
So I've just basically repeated you.
Yeah, basically.
Just
maybe
watch
I should
the
try
pods
and
back
listen.
afterwards, and he fucking repeats shit that's already said.
Fucking hell.
You wouldn't have got me for talking about Jenkins after him, you know.
Who's Jenkins?
Is there a fucking echo in here?
Jenkins. Yeah, but I mean, commiserations. I mean, my heart goes out a little bit to Arviella because he's been playing some fantastic football. He's a young kid. No kid wants such a serious injury at such a young age. You know, to be playing in the Premier League at his age and playing well in the Premiership. He was on some real form. You know, he started his career really over the last few weeks and started getting some game time. I think he was on loan at Blackburn last season, I think, if I remember rightly. But he was arguably, I would say, probably one of their best players until that happened.
Really?
So he was really good. He was. He just
I all out on ball, but he didn't do a right lot because he was absolutely firmly in Phillips's pocket the whole time.
I don't think he was. I don't think Phillips was even marking him, was he?
Phillips marks everyone. Come on.
But look, it's a bit of a nightmare, and obviously we all send our best wishes out. We just hope that. I mean, Harvey Elliott's obviously put that out there, saying it was never a red card, it was no malice, he didn't mean to do it. And Pascal Stroik respectfully said, "Look, I wish you all the best in recovery." That's all we can do. Sit and wait now for the FA to basically screw us and probably increase the ban to 6 games or something.
Probably, yeah.
Didn't Stats mention in the group that we've only won 2 appeals since 1989 or something? And it was
Maradi won one, didn't he?
Millwall,
and the other one was in 1989 or something. And it was like, what the fuck? Should we have no chance here?
We're absolutely no chance. We haven't got a fucking open.
We do.
I can't wait to see what Jimmy thinks about it.
I don't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What you say, Jay?
So I can't wait to see what Jimmy thinks about it. That'll be a good episode. There'll be a lot to talk about there.
Jeez, yeah, that's on tomorrow night, folks, as well. In Off the VAR is back with Jimmy the Ref tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So tune in for that as well.
Get an opinion of somebody that actually knows what they're on about.
Well, yeah, any questions you have about the weekend in relation to the reffing decisions, give us a shout on the Twitter account and get on here and ask Jimmy the Ref.
Yeah, get yourselves on and ask Jimmy. We'll try and get Carl to type some subtitles in the comment box as we're going along because he's broad. Whereabouts is he from in Ireland? Mayo, is it?
Castlebar, yeah, Mayo.
Castlebar. He's broad as anything, and then he's always good fun, and he's not been it's good. Be good to see him back on form, I think. Carl, you just got your view then, I suppose. I think we've all sort of told. I mean, I imagine it's not too dissimilar from what we've said.
No, I really thought it was an absolutely fine challenge and one that was worthy of the game that was being played. And then the series of unfortunate events that followed. Sure, what can we say about it anymore? It's annoying that the ref didn't give a free kick initially, and kind of had the chance to go from a yellow to a red if he felt it was the need, But he didn't even blow for a free kick, and I just find that absolutely ludicrous that he can then send him off because of the severity of the injury. There's if he consulted VAR, he'd have seen that there was no malice in the challenge and that Sturrock was in control of what he was doing. Yet he still felt the need because of the stupid law, which we'll get Jimmy to talk more about in depth, because it's just ridiculous. I'm annoyed at it, because I don't think we're going to get it overturned, and now we're down to Cooper and potentially what's that young fella's name?
Cresswell.
I think it'll be
Ayling, maybe.
It'll be Ayling, and I think Ayling will come in. And
but as centre backs, I'm saying we're down to Cooper.
Yeah.
No,
you're right.
But I don't think it should be. I think it should give Cresswell a chance.
I think Ayling should, and I'll tell you why. Because Ayling's been shite at right back this season. No, and I think if Shackleton has a great game there against Newcastle, it'll put a bit of a bit of competition. I don't know if look. I think Luke Ayling is fantastic, and I think he had a really good season last season. I'm not going to get his name tattooed on my head, but he had a really good season, and he was knocking on the door. We were talking about potentially an England call at where we at one point. You know what I mean? He was in that much. He was playing that well and in form. He's not got that form this season. There's no hiding from that. He's not been playing the same football. His passes have been straight. He's been a yard behind pace. If Shackleton comes in and does a number and has a real good game at right back, then it gives Bielsa a bit of a headache, but it also might give Luke a kick up the arse and just say, look, actually, I need to fucking put my ideas up here. We're playing Premier League football, and I know Luke, I know Ayling puts his wears his out on his sleeve and gives 100%, and I don't know if he's got something going on or what, but it just doesn't seem to be clicking for him at the moment. So. We don't
have anyone to properly challenge him for right back at the moment. And if Shackleton, you said, comes in and does the fucking business there, then it's his spot to lose if we get a result. And Ayling's not in that position, you know. So
it could be because he's knocking on.
Well, I was knocking on. See, I was going to ask, did you think he might be, knocking on a bit, but I thought I'd get absolutely knobbed for that one. Right? So I said I'd be quiet.
Absolutely, what? Though, you'd get one for that.
They get knobbed.
No, there's none of that in here, Carl. You ain't wrong, chap.
And we know you live in Harmony, but you're not quite in the prison, are you?
I do wonder, how long these players' bodies can take the intensity of Bielsa's training and the routines. Do you think there will come a point where people do start to slow down?
It's a great point, because it's the longest he's ever been at a club by some margin. So the players that have been here from the start, your Aylings, your Dallas, your Calvins and stuff, they're either going to be like the fucking Terminator inside. You're going to cut them open and they've got fucking literally iron running through their bones. But yeah, no, I think that's a great point. But
when you look at Hernandez, how old were Hernandez when Bielsa came in? Were 32, 33?
32, yeah, 31, 32, I'd say.
Yeah. He's a few years behind him, is Ayling. So,
but I would also say Hernandez was a class above.
You could say that as well, but Pablo hadn't trained at that intensity when he was Ayling's age. So
no,
it's going to be a little harder on the bones for Ayling because he's going to be at that, constant that level all the time. And it takes a lot out of you, So Pablo had 3 years of it. Ayling's had 3 years of it, or 4 years now. How many more years can a player play at that intensity?
It's interesting to wonder whether it takes a toll over time like that.
Yeah, you're right. You might have a point.
30-ish onwards.
But you look at your Olympic athletes and stuff like that. How often are they competing for? They're competing for years and years and years. I get that they're not doing it for such a long stretch like a Premier League or a Championship season. It's only months at a time or whatever. But they are in physical peak condition. But then again, you're right. Is there a limit how much of the human body can take, especially at those sort of extreme fitness levels that are required, to be in a Bielsa team?
I wonder how much Jay's half a body could take.
Mate, pack a lot of punch into this.
And swing a fucking axe. I can lift lots of bricks.
Cheers, thunderhead.
Oh dear.
No, but yeah, no. I think we've obviously digressed somewhat there from the red card.
Sorry.
Yeah. So what about? Yeah, of course it is. What about we just go around and honestly vote on whether we think or not that should be rescinded? I think it's Thursday. The plan for the hearing is. So I'll start with you, Smarty. Is it going to be rescinded, or are we going to be without strike at come Friday?
We will be without strike on the weekend, 100%.
Yeah, Jay.
I think it should be, but I think it won't be.
Well, I think it should be, but it won't.
I think we'll just get screwed on it. I know, but I like to flesh it out a bit for you.
Yeah.
That's what you're flashing, son.
What about you, Gail?
Fuck him.
Here, do you know what, Carl? Do you know you've got a look of it? You're going to probably hate this.
I'm just saying it live on here and not in the chat.
There we go.
Yeah,
I'll say it here, but you look like Massimo Cellino.
Oh gosh.
Sonny Smarty.
Has your taxi ever been chased at Elland Road?
No, not yet.
Don't he,
Have you got anything
Smarty?
with the number 7? Have you got anything with the number 17 on?
No,
Well, he's
No, like
superstitious
purple.
about
He's not got
numbers
Eric
and stuff,
Backer
isn't he?
shirt.
I'm not going
Not
to
got
buy
Eric Backer
the
shirt.
new home shirt. No, wait, third shirt. No.
All right. Anyway, how
Put
do you see it
17 on.
going? How do you see it going, Massimo?
I think.
God.
That's not going away. Can I? Yeah, I think it's going to be upheld. He's not going to be playing for them.
Yeah. I'm the same. I just think that if the FA were to rescind it, what sort of message does that portray to referees, but not only referees, to all the other clubs and things as well? If it's being looked at by VAR and there's no clear and obvious error, it's been looked at by the referee. I still think there is great grounds for the appeal, but I can't see how. I just can't see how they're going to rescind it when it's been to VAR after the red card.
I suppose, apart from obviously the challenge that it's not being like you said, a malicious challenge or anything like that, but the fact that Klopp were running around after the officials and the fourth official and all that sort of stuff, whittering in their ears a lot, being on the pitch, being present, all the other coaching staff kicking off. It's got to count for something, but I don't think it's going to be doing anything. I think it's all in vain, to be honest. But we'll see.
Oh Jesus! Christ.
Hang on a minute, we just had a new comment. Speaking of lookalikes, JJ looks like Ronan Keating.
JJ.
Do you know what I would say to that viewer?
No.
Do you know what I would say to that viewer? You say it best when you say nothing at all.
Oh, I love it. Look at that.
Sweet mother of God, I'm going to be sick.
Naughty. That is naughty. Right. Right then. Shall we progress this podcast of ours?
Try.
Yeah, might as well. Go on then.
News from Ought to Know Better.
That's not the right one that I went meant to press. But in other news from Ought to Know Better,
Okay.
Young Boys have beaten the Scum, so I think that's worth a quick minute or two.
Come on.
And apparently, Adam Johnson and Mendy would have had a field day today.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Bit close to the bum. Bit risque there, but
Scum got
no,
done by the Young Boys, man. That's what the headline should be. They got done by the Young Boys.
But anybody that hasn't seen it, have a little watch back and just type it to Twitter or your search engines. Look for Lingard's no-look back pass.
I haven't seen that yet.
Did you actually do a normal back pass? I know it was
beautiful.
beautiful.
My mate said it was beautiful.
It was brilliant.
You'll be careful. Don't you be sharing your screen. We don't want to see your search history.
That's right. Nor do we want the copyright.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
No, I'm not gonna. There's nothing dodgy on there, to be fair. Look, great result for Young Boys, and we always like to see the Scum lose as a podcast. So yeah,
of course,
nice. Before we do a little bit more news from Ought to Know Better, before we move on, did anyone see the video of Calvin, Luke, and Paddy getting their FIFA ratings today?
No,
no,
yeah,
I'm not seeing anything.
No.
Paddy is pissed off.
Yeah, Paddy's last screen. I think Paddy's 78.
Jesus.
Aylin's 75 and Calvin's 81, if I remember rightly.
That's outrageous.
Definitely worth watching back. There's a great video going around. In fact, Leeds have just tweeted another video 3 minutes ago, and it's Calvin and Paddy talking to each other.
I'll have a watch later. I heard on
they're complaining about the FIFA ratings to the FIFA rating.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, class.
Yeah.
Right.
Go and give them a bit of a watch. Before we do progress on to the next bits and pieces, we've got a little bit of message from our partners.
Sponsors.
Ought to Know Better are excited to announce a new partnership. 3 Retro is the retro football shop. 3 Retro was born from the love of the game, from historical nights on the Cold Terrace, and from the love of vintage shirts of a bygone era. Find the referral link and discount code in our social media accounts and in the comments and descriptions of How to Know Better podcast recordings for a 10% discount on the full range.
What were you two doing kissing then?
Now we're getting a drink.
You both came back at exactly the same time from off screen, like you'd just been like caught tonguing in a cupboard.
I'm putting the football back on here.
I'm getting more beer.
He forgot his yellow pages.
I'm fucked now, Smarty. You don't get them anymore, so the game's ruined for me.
He's just adding another cushion to his seat.
It's a booster.
So, yeah, I mean, if you'd have listened to the pod from the start, Jay, you'd have already heard that one.
Cheers, mate.
So yeah, we're going to Newcastle, and so let's have a bit of a chat about St James's Park on a Friday night. Whoever's fucking fixtured that in needs, you know what I mean? They're asking for bother, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
3,000 Leeds fans on the tune on a Friday night. It's got a bit of a recipe for disaster, if you ask me. But as far as the game's going to go, then, Carl, what do you expect to see? Do you expect to see a bit of a backlash, shall we say, from the Liverpool performance?
I expect them to turn up and fucking do a job on Newcastle because they're in a shoddy situation themselves, and let's fucking hammer it home. Like, if we don't beat Newcastle, then it might look a little bleak going forward. Like,
yeah, with that belief, yeah.
Well,
it's a 6-pointer, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is a 6-pointer.
Get that mentality, regardless of what Bielsa says or what he does in training or whatever. That mentality is hard to kick. You know, we saw, after Christmas, the season we went up, where we were shambles after Christmas until the Brentford game, and that was 7 games. Like, we can't afford 7 games of not getting 3 points. Like, so I think it's probably the biggest game we're going to play so far this season. Forget the other 4 games we played. It's probably the biggest one so far. We need 3 points out of this one to kickstart our season, and they need to fucking turn up. They need to get their shit together. Klopp isolated Calvin, and that was our game plan. Fooked.
Do you know, if other teams pick up on that, it's not that difficult to do. If you put two central midfielders to pressure him, but we should have an alternative plan to that all the time, I think, and we can't rely on Calvin. So in terms of the style of play, I mean, we're probably not going to change that. Are we, Smart? He's not just because we've been beat and we're yet to pick up our first win. You don't see Bielsa making any wholesale changes in terms of, I mean, obviously they're going to have to make some changes. As Bandy says here, we've got no centre backs, but in terms of the style of football we're going to play, you don't see any of that altering, do you?
The other time you see it altering is when they play Rodrigo in middle, right over click. That's when you see our style alter, because there's not enough pressure and there's not enough forward momentum from the centre of the park, in my opinion. The Rodrigo thing was one of our poll questions, and obviously the red card thing, it got the win. But the Rodrigo experiment something has to happen there. It clearly isn't working. We play our best football with Dallas and click in the middle in front of Calvin. I know that he tends to change it regarding whatever sort of team we're playing, whether it be a good team like Liverpool, Chelsea and all that stuff, or a really shit team like Burnley's and all that sort of stuff. But we do really need to put our best team out. We are going to be able to do that because of obviously the issues we're going to have defence, but hopefully Click's fit. I mean, apparently Forshaw's even out, so even he's not an option. But I would drop Rodrigo. I'd get Click and Dallas back in midfield in front of Phillips. Rafinha, hopefully he'll stop stomping around like a fucking spoiled child and actually pull his finger out of his ass. Because, in my opinion, he's not been fucking great either. Harrison.
Just on that, Smite, before you go on, I can see Bielsa dropping him for James, if that continues, because he almost, because he's got fantastic footwork and he can almost create something from nothing. I don't know if he feels like he's the first name on the sheet, but Bielsa won't have that, and he won't. And
for me,
look at the Pablo situation that time. He rarely featured again, didn't he? After his drop, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well. Yeah, but that were a proper paddy, wasn't it? He's just an angry bastard, is Rafinha, isn't it? But for me personally, in private, I have been quite vocal about this. And for me, Rafinha doesn't tick every single box for me. He's not consistent enough. He has these little flashes of brilliance, and he is a brilliant player, but he's not consistent. I'm not saying that Dan James is going to be consistent. I really, really don't. And he's not used to our systems and the style that we play anyway. So Rafinha plays, obviously. But he's not been that great. Harrison's been pretty good. But for me, Rafinha, he needs to do more. He needs to do more. He really, really does. Coming up with an odd goal and an odd little bit of brilliance is not enough. He's not enough.
Is it because the expectations are too high from us? Because we've seen how brilliant he can be? Do you think, because as Leeds fans, we're spoiled, aren't we? We expect, because we're a big club, we expect the best, and we are a little bit spoiled when it comes to sort of how, I suppose, how we act and our beliefs and stuff. But because we've seen how good Rafinha can be, when things aren't going our way, when we are 2 or 3 down, you almost see his head drop, don't you? Like he's doing.
Yeah, we can't carry a player like that though. We can't. You want someone that can get stuck in your Clicks, your Harrisons, your Dallases, them sort of players. Obviously, Pablo, God bless him, he's obviously not with us anymore. But those sort of players that will take this team by the scruff.
Hang on a minute. What's happened to him?
He's not with us anymore. He's moved on, lads.
God bless him. He's not with us anymore. Jesus Christ.
Mate, honestly, he's my favourite fucking Leeds player ever, mate. But anyway, digressing. But yeah, those sort of players that will literally drag the team by the scruff of the neck and get them over the line. Rafinha is not one of those players. He's a luxury player. Rodrigo's the same. He's not firing on all cylinders, but Rafinha is a luxury player who is not performing as well as he should be.
No, fair comment. So in terms of lineups, then Jay, how do you see it lining up? Obviously, bearing in mind we'll probably go with Strike not being available, because until we know otherwise, he's not available. So how do you see the 11 starting at Newcastle? Do you think he continues with Rodrigo or does Click come in?
I think he'd probably keep Rodrigo in there, mate, because he's stubborn. I was just wondering just then, like, sometimes when you get a marquee signing, they sometimes have it in the contract that they have to play, but Bielsa wouldn't stand for that, would he? He wouldn't sign a player who asked for that.
No.
So I don't think that's the case. I think he just does have faith in him. He just, from a technical standpoint, he should be one of our best players.
And Ketia had that in his clause, didn't he, as well?
Did he? I don't know.
I think so, and that's one of the reasons he fucked off, because he wasn't being played enough, and it was in his contract to be playing a certain amount of games and all that sort of shit.
That vaguely rings a bell, actually. But yeah, I mean, it's different with loan players, isn't it? Because the parent club can specify all sorts, and if you really want them, you'll sort of agree to stuff. But yeah, as Derek says, Rodrigo is a big disappointment at the moment. I don't know. I think probably what we said before, we're going to see Shaq at right back, I reckon, and Ayling at centre back. I think that's probably, that's his go-to, isn't it? So I don't think there'll be any big surprises. I think we'll see most of the same team out that we saw at Liverpool.
You never know. He might put Dallas out there and bring Click in.
He's done stranger things, hasn't he? He's done stranger things.
Do you know, like with the acquisition of Dan James now, we can rotate our wingers now. So he could start Dan James over Harrison or over Rafinha, and then to be able to bring on the likes of Harrison or Rafinha or even Dan James, this is great options for us now. But either or, whoever he starts on the wings, he's going to bring off one of them at some point.
We no longer have a dead weight winger on the bench. We've got somebody that can come on and actually do something. You didn't have any confidence Costa was going to come on and change the game, did you? You'd rather have kept whoever were playing on instead of him. Yeah. But I was going to say, the thing about a luxury player that you were saying, Smarty, I think you've got to have a couple of luxury players, otherwise you just end up a workman-like team like Burnley. Do you know what I mean? It's just that when the luxury players are not on the ball, on the game, then you are carrying them and it can cost you sometimes. But on the days when they are there and they turn up, there's nothing like it. Seeing Rafinha when he's at his best, just dicking people, you know what I mean? He's fantastic. And I'd be gutted if we didn't have him there to do it.
I'm going to bring that comment back up just because Bandy, he's not a luxury player. Have you not seen the way he runs back?
That's what
yeah, I have.
Yeah,
I have.
Enough, yeah.
But he doesn't do it enough, and he's not consistent enough. It's not like Harrison. He's completely at other end of scale to Harrison. Yeah. That lad puts a right shift in.
But he's naturally good, and he almost feels like I think we've all played with them, with these kids who can play football, and they get picked because they're fucking amazing at football. But when things potentially aren't going their way, they don't work as hard, and it's quite apparent, and it's in front of 35,000 people. It is apparent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'd throw this actually just for a second before we go on to this comment, lad. Sorry. What if the way Rafinha, like you were saying, doesn't do enough in, say, tracking back, right? What if at certain points in the game, the way Bielsa thinks, right? What if at certain points in the game, they're constantly, they're playing in minutes, right? What if at a certain point in the game he's told, don't start tracking back?
It might well be.
Now. So don't do it. And maybe that's why he maybe looks a little lazier in the latter half of the latter stages of the game, because we're looking for that right as soon as he gets it, bam. We get the ball and he's gone. There's loads of elements that could, be the reasons for the performances sometimes, but
it might be, and he might be asking them to conserve some energy where the ball's in a certain part of the field. He might say to one of his wingers, right, you could conserve a bit of energy, but I mean, we unless we know and played for Bielsa, we'll never ever know that. So we can only take it on face value, can't we? We can.
I'm sorry if that sounded like I would have no right. I really like Rafinha. I think he's a great player. I just think that he's not offering enough at the minute. I think the whole team.
You'd be able to get his face tattooed on your forehead.
I did get a full English breakfast tattooed on yours, you twat.
I don't think you're wrong what you're saying about how he's playing at the moment, Smarty. My point was I'd rather have those players at the club so that we have got
I know what you mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we move on to a little bit more about Newcastle, now we expect the game to go, Carl. I just wanted, somebody mentioned about Dan James then. I was going to come on to Dan James.
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you before.
I felt his debut was good. I thought he made a bit of an impact, and he looked dangerous on the ball, and it was steady enough. I mean, he only got 20 minutes or so, but I thought it was an impressive 20 minutes. I thought he had a completely different dimension. Everything that we expected from the signing, I think. Yeah, he didn't score. We didn't score, but in terms of a debut, he looked energetic, and he looked to have a little bit of something that we've not had. A little bit something different, I suppose. Yeah. So as you rightly said, Carl, that opportunity now we've got three, arguably world class, probably not world class, but top level wingers now. In James, Harrison, and Rafinha, where we've got two of them that can start, and one of them that's going to be an impact player from the bench, probably. Yeah. But we did speak about it in the last week or two, that the possibility of Rafinha moving more centrally. Do we still think that's probably the best option, or do we think it's something that should be explored still?
I think that should be an 80th minute option, where if James isn't on, move Rafinha inside and give him a bit more freedom, get him on the ball a bit more in the spaces, like.
Yeah.
You then have the two wingers with the skill sets of Harrison and Dan James to then influence the pace of the game on the wings, because Rafinha is going to ping balls out either side. Like essentially what I think it will be like the way Calvin pings a ball from just deep inside our half. Imagine Rafinha with the delicate ball over the top in the 10 position in between the edge of the centre circle and the 18-yard box, and you've got James and you've got Harrison to run onto them, and you've also got Bamford, who's going to be willing to get into any positions at all. And then I think it's an option that we should maybe explore at some point, depending on who we're playing and the position we are at in the game, just to see what it's like rather than try it out in training and hope to God it works if we start with it. Maybe
I think you're right. I think it would be good to see that, but maybe if we were really, really on top of a team, if it were a stalemate or something, you wouldn't want to leave middle of park that exposed, because with Rafinha it would be.
Just one thing I wanted to add really is in terms of going into Newcastle game on Friday. do you think it's a game that we're going to control? Just to make you aware that, like, based on the games we played this season, so Liverpool at home, our possession was 45%. Now,
Didn't seem like that.
At Liverpool last season, our possession was 52%. So we had more possession away from home at Liverpool, 7% more possession than we did at home to them this season.
That's been a theme, though, so far this season.
Yeah, I think it has, and we don't seem to control and keep hold of the ball as well. And I think we almost need a game like Newcastle, where they're probably not going to be as intense pressure-wise, and they're not going to be lumping the ball forward like Burnley. They're not going to be playing some nice football, like, it pains me to say, like the Scum did, and like Everton did. Everton played well against us as well. So we almost need a settler. And I think that's a good opportunity for us. I don't know what your thoughts are, Carl. Do you think that we will go into this game and we'll control it much more because we're a similar level man for man potentially? Is that the right way of putting things?
Possibly. Like they've got their own flair player in Alan St. Maximin, and I think if we can isolate him, I said it on the pod, the BNC pod on Sunday, that we Liverpool isolated Calvin. So if we can, and I don't feel that you should always just focus on one player, but it seemed to do the job. But I think if you can control St. Maximin, then I think you've got every chance of dominating the ball in areas that he's not going to get it. And those areas will probably be the areas who want it, really. Like,
they haven't got much of it.
It's going to be a real key battle, whoever does play right back, because Sam Maximin plays on that left wing. So it's going to be that's going to be a key battle come Friday night, I think.
And that could be a reason to put Shaq in because he's young and quick,
or for Dallas because he's more experienced. It's one of them, isn't it?
It's a fine balance,
I think you're close with those.
Yeah, the Bandy's just said Dan James could be converted to a right back. I think would be negating his obvious skill set in that he's an absolute speedster if he was to play at the right back for me, Bandy.
I think so.
That's a Traore as a striker fucking sort of comment, isn't
it? It's not Adam's new account, is it?
Is that you, Adam?
Newcastle will play with a lot of confidence, and it's making me nervous. Yeah, they will. They will make us nervous, and I think it'll probably be a lot tighter than we expected compared to potentially how we were playing last season, and we're a little bit more confident. But I still have every belief that Leeds team that's going up to St James's Friday it is. Should be able to get a result.
This could be a season-defining game, because if we don't win this game, you say
it's too early, Jay.
But if we don't win this game, we don't snap out of that rut and that mindset and that negative vibe that's going on, and that's
fair. I mean, that's fair. But what I'm saying is, if we don't get a result at Newcastle, it is not season-defining. I wouldn't even go as far as saying, despite said earlier, that it's a 6-pointer, because I don't think that. I think we'll start picking up points when we do, and we'll be absolutely, fine.
The only reason I said it was a 6-pointer is because of the remaining fixtures, but the fixtures that are coming up, shortly afterwards. Yourself, you Watford, your Watford, your Southamptons, them sort of teams that you like to think were beatable relatively easy. There is West Ham in that mix and all as well, but it's a perfect opportunity for us to springboard a season. It is.
Yeah.
It's not a 6-pointer, but it should be really. To kind of make our mark on season and take off.
The only thing that worries me about the only thing that worries me about a negative result is how do you get out of that mindset?
The confidence, and I think that's what Jay was getting at.
Football, it's the mindset. How do you get out of that? And
I think Jay was getting. I was getting that. It's difficult for a player as well, more than us as fans, for him to get out of that, because I've played football and rugby all my life, and even though you could play with the best players, and if you're not winning, you're almost going into the game one down, because it makes life so much more difficult. It's like running in fucking treacle. It's horrible. But yeah, I think we're all relatively confident. Then we'll soon find out how confident we all are when we come on to the next. Looks like we've got an Huddersfield Town fan trying to hijack the dog botherer.
What about you saying a fucking dictionary, mate?
Fallon. Who the hell's Fallon?
He's a fallen apart.
Just for people that are listening, he's saying Leeds are falling apart again. Well, he said fallen apart again. think he's struggling a bit, his lad.
Yeah, he's struggling. So we'll go into the part of the show where we are going to predict the result at Newcastle.
Auto Know Better predictions.
Thank you ever so much for agreeing to take these down, Jay, while
Gilly is indisposed.
Gilly's out on the piss. Yeah,
Right.
So we'll
Goated.
He's goated.
Is he goated?
But so yes, Marty, we'll start with you, mate. Give us a prediction, please, brother.
I'm going to go Leeds United 2, Newcastle 1.
Very nice.
I think that's a safe bet. I think they're going to be a bit Burnley-esque. I think they're going to set up, strong, but I think we will have the quality to oversee them. I think.
Well, they've got Joe Linton playing up front at the minute, haven't they?
Fuck him. We've got Stuart fucking Dallas.
Jay, what's your scoreline going to be, mate?
I'm going to go 3-1 to Leeds.
You're not going for your 4-1 every game this season, no?
No, I've not picked that once this year, actually.
Have you not?
Carl's even given us a prediction.
He has.
He's not allowed anymore. He's banned.
Not allowed anymore. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't.
He ruined that for himself, didn't he?
I think we're capable of scoring a few against Leeds, but I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, especially with our issues
at the back. Yeah, fair point. I'm confident of a Leeds win. I'm relatively confident that they have not got an attacking threat other than Sam Maxim and that Almiron, who's absolutely rapid. If they could have, I don't know if you watched them play against Scum the other day.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
There's so many times Sam Maxim cut in, and he could have fed that Almiron 2 or 3 times. And I'm sure they'll have been working on that. So I fancy us to concede a couple, but I think we'll beat them 3-2. Goals galore!
Yeah, that's it. Carl, what are you saying?
Pissed off.
He's banned. He's banned.
To be fair, he is banned.
Yeah. So we'll round up all the scores. If anybody in the comments would like to predict a score for us, we do take a fan's comment every week, and the first person to comment or tweet us or whatever, we'll use that and post that into our league. So if anybody does have a score prediction, apart from Karen Francis, whose parents couldn't even spell his name right, we'll have a score prediction from anybody, and we'll move on to the favourite part of the show, that for everybody, especially Smarty,
the hot topic.
I'm sad that Mad Adam's not here for this because he loves this.
Yeah, he does. So as everybody who watches knows, it's the part of the show every week where we decide between the 4 of us on the panel who should be the future manager should Bielsa ever leave. The manager of the upcoming team that we're due to play, or the Hawk. And it's usually we've usually got we've got an outstanding winner, but we have had a few draws here and there. So we'll make a start with yourself, Smarty, and tell me who would you like to manage Leeds in the future, the Hawk, or how's the bacon? Did you say?
How's the bacon? Did you say? Well, he's an ex-scummer, isn't he?
He is.
So I think that's all you need to know about that prick. I think he's stealing a living as a manager. I didn't rate him as a player back in the olden days. I mean, what more can you say about Ockerday? I'm sick of talking about his cycling efficiency and his fucking and everything else. But fuck Steve Bruce. Ockerday for me.
Straight to
Carl.
Well, I'll be honest with you, if a man has put some bacon in the oven and he has to ask how the fuck it is, he's no man that I'm going to vote for. So I'm going for the Hawk.
Yeah, Jay.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, you look at the Hawk with his shaved head, he's streamlined. You look at Steve Bruce, he's just like a fucking cabbage. So I'm going for the Hawk.
Looks like a cabbage.
Throw a cabbage at him.
Do you know what? I look at Steve Bruce and I see Hawker there, and they look like the kind of people that you'd see out in Benidorm with bulldogs tattooed on the chest, and you fucking squashed noses and little bald heads and that, and the type of people that were probably the hardest people on their council estate growing up. You know what I mean? They're like the type of people that you just wouldn't fight. Like they should be best mates, like fucking slapping each other about and that, wrestling in a pub in front of like hundreds of families. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, I was taught a bit of a lesson last week. I almost went for Jurgen Klopp, and then he was an absolute bell end. I abstained last week, and so now how I'm doing it, I'm actually being more sensible about it, and I'm actually going to pick, not necessarily for the Hawk, but I'm going to pick against who's managing the future team. So if I like the future manager, I'll probably go with them. But because it's fucking Steve Bruce, I just cannot. As you rightly say, how can you not fucking know what somebody's asked? How was the break then, Steve? He was asked, and he says, "How's the bacon? Did you say? How was the break then, Steve?" And he decided to ask with a bottle of water in his hand because he'd probably been on MDMA all night. Ask how the bacon was. So
It's
yeah,
like a Carl answer this.
Not me.
Has somebody come round and give you a peg up to microphone or something, James? Have you got a boohoo top on?
Stood on the fucking
Yeah, I've
box.
got my work top on still.
Oh my god, he's not even come prepared for the pod. I've still got my sticker on from my t-shirt that I hadn't took off. I've not even noticed. XL.
I just walked straight in the door and got on here.
Fucking
So.
It's a shambles.
What are we like?
It's an
Yeah,
absolute
it's an
shambles.
absolute
Well.
So yeah, we've got an outstanding winner there in the Hawk. I think it was more a vote against Steve Bruce than it was for the Hawk, but Gilly will be chuffed off his nut. So,
Of course he will.
So yeah, that leaves us then with any other business, I suppose. Has anybody got anything else we've got to talk about? What we got coming up, Carl, over the next week?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, I've got In Off the Bar is back for its first episode of the season tomorrow at 8 p.m. I think it's myself and still throwing it out there. I don't know who. Might be you, Luke. Is it
It
yourself?
might be me, yeah. It could be myself, yeah.
All right, but we're back on with Jimmy the Ref from 8 p.m. So any questions about the referee's performance on Sunday, get on board and give Jimmy a shout, and he'll definitely answer your questions for you. You might not understand them, but he will definitely answer them for you.
You might have to get games in that one, Carl.
You might have to knock it into Braille. Yeah, I think we probably won't do them all, Jay, but because it's not worth going too far back.
No,
but maybe do
certainly.
I think probably Liverpool will be a long enough talking session, to be fair. But maybe go back as far as the game at Burnley as well before that. So yeah, looking forward to that.
It, mate. I can't wait to hear what Jimmy thinks about all that with red card.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have
he
plenty
actually
to
knows
say.
what he's on about.
Yeah.
Then we've got Friday evening. What's going on, Smarty? Do you know? Can you remember?
Well, I think we're playing Newcastle.
Yeah,
Brad in Cook Friday is
before that.
Before that, I couldn't fucking tell you. You tell me.
So before kick off on Friday night, we'll have a stat man, and then
come on,
straight after.
Smarty's moving house. You'll have to forgive him.
He caught me off on the cuff. Though, like, I don't know.
And then
is there something I should know about?
After the game, we got Brad in Cook with Adam and
I think it's me.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, what we like. Anyway, yeah, we've got Brad in Cook. Then we'll probably have.
I'm supposed to be on this time.
And then Saturday morning we'll have Let's Have a Lukic or whatever we're going to. We haven't decided what they're going to call it yet, but we're going to have the weekend preview of all the weekend games with a couple of us as well. So plenty of bits and pieces to look down. Yeah, plenty of bits. He always comes second. Have you seen how small he is?
No. Well, that's contrary to what I've heard. He always comes first. So there we go.
I don't understand that comment. I'm confused.
I have no idea.
Anyway,
Bandy knows.
All I figured out there now is that Smarty has a difficult time pronouncing words beginning with C.
Apart from the best word beginning with C, which is boop. What's it?
We've gone through a full episode without saying it. Say it.
I was just thinking.
No,
we've got to get through it sometimes. Otherwise, we'll end up banned or something.
Just one last thing then, lads, before on a little more somber note, before we do close. Good listener and friend of the pod, unfortunately lost somebody very close to him this week. Just like to send our condolences and best wishes to Gary, Leeds fan from up in Motherwell. So yeah, all thinking about you, mate. Look forward to hopefully seeing you over the next few weeks for a beer and stuff as well. So yeah, all the best from everybody here, mate.
Hope you're doing well.
All the best, Gary.
All the best, pal.